Earlier this week, I was sitting at my computer, unable to send out any job applications. Maybe it's because I already knew what the outcome was going to be. And strangely enough, it's not for the reasons you might think, my skills or my resume at this point. It's because the job market is actually cooked. We're told to spend our time constantly applying, fill any gaps in our skills, and fly through interviews. Not to mention the mental toll and the late nights spent at 2 a.m. worrying if it will ever pay off. It's literally ruining our lives. So I want to talk to you about the issues regarding the crazy competition for jobs and how AI is being used in the market to actively work against us. But first, I want to talk to you about another issue which is flooding the job market, which are ghost jobs. One afternoon, I was in my room and I called up a company I had applied to on Indeed, and I wanted to know the update on my application. But the confusing moment was when they told me that they had never posted that job, and when I asked, they said it must have been someone else. So this made me wonder, if this is happening on Indeed, then surely it's happening on other job boards, right? Like LinkedIn? Yeah, it is. So that's when I realized I'm pouring in hours of my time, late at night when I'm tired, sending out these applications, only to find out that some of them are fake and they're never going to be seen by a hiring manager. It's kind of demoralizing, wouldn't you think? I've even changed my job searching strategy to apply only through a company's website because that's what I deemed was good enough to avoid ghost jobs altogether. But I noticed afterwards that there's no guarantee that I will avoid ghost jobs even through this method. Now we're in this loop where we're trying to do mental gymnastics to avoid applying to ghost jobs, which we can't 100% do because the market is padded with ghost jobs. So now when we do come across one and we apply, we have this hope that, do you know what? Maybe we have a good chance for this job. And then when you get a rejection or you don't ever get a response back from that job, you're left wondering, man, was I at fault here? When in fact, that might not even be the case. I don't blame us for not wanting to sit at our desk from time to time, knowing that you're going to be going through this cycle again and again. It's a massive put off, isn't it? And the annoying part is understanding why companies do this. And it doesn't paint a very good picture at all. In fact, one of the reasons they do this is because it makes them look good. It's a good standing to be in when you're hiring for other people. But what they don't understand is that there's real people like me and you on the other side who are actually looking to get into a job, so we don't want to just be treated like a statistic. Another reason they do this is because they want to keep our details in their database in case they ever decide to open up for a role in the future. We're kind of being led on at this point because it's based on their whim whether they ever decide to open it up or not. And so we have this false hope that maybe that job that I was such a good fit for, I actually could get, but it might never happen. And the last reason is they just forget to close the listing, even after it has been filled. Pretty sloppy, wouldn't you say? I mean, who's the ones left to suffer? Me and you, the job seekers. It's not because of your skills or your experience. I mean, especially when it comes to like entry-level roles, because they shouldn't require any experience at all. It's just because, unfortunately, you came across a listing you deemed was very good, you applied to it, and you'll just never hear a response back from them. Now, if you think ghost jobs are bad enough, which granted they are, then you're not going to want to hear about the competition for real jobs, which is even worse. Over the past few months, I've been scrolling on LinkedIn because this is another way I like to look for jobs. And as I'm scrolling, I'm just looking at the side and I'm seeing the number of applicants per job that there are. And I've noticed for some of the jobs that I found, there's been more than 100 applicants. But here's the thing, they're not the only ones with such high amount of competition. It's actually the graduate schemes as well. Right now, I'm a master's student, so I'm also exploring graduate schemes. And every year there's thousands of new graduates. There's thousands of graduates who are looking to apply to these graduate schemes and these entry-level positions. So now I'm starting to see now that this very, very fierce amount of competition in those as well. And after noticing that, I started to become a bit worried. What if I'm not good enough for these jobs? What if I made such a bad mistake, even considering this as a career path? And what if all of this is for nothing, and I may never get a job in this career? It would literally get to the point where I would be avoiding sitting at my desk because I didn't want to put myself through that mental turmoil of sending out another application and then having hope for another job that I've applied to, and then being rejected and feeling absolutely crap about myself and not wanting to apply for another week. I'm sure you've been in this position as well. You would go through the job description of the roles that you found, and then when you scroll down to the point where they tell more about the role and the type of candidate they're looking for, you can see that there's so many different things that they're asking for that you don't have. And now you're sitting there, you're comparing yourself to all of these other candidates who probably have more skills than you, and you feel absolutely pathetic when you compare yourself to them. And we've all been there as well, where we apply to a job that deep down we just know we're not good enough for, because I mean, what other choice do you have? We're trying to land one of these positions, and then when you get that email, saying that you've been rejected, you just feel a dent in your confidence. But unfortunately, the market doesn't really care about how we feel. I mean, nowadays they're being a lot more selective with who they want to hire. So if you have even a few things lacking that they're looking for in the job description, then they're just going to pick someone else who has a bit more experience. Another thing to note is that the economy right now, as you might know, is not doing so well. So it's generally very expensive for companies to take on a new hire. So they would much rather favor someone else who has more experience than take on someone who's willing to show that they will grow in the role but will make a few mistakes. They don't want to take that chance, so they're going to opt for the candidate who is just much better than us, unfortunately. And I found out yesterday that because the job market is not doing very well, and because of all of this competition, there are more experienced candidates that are taking lower level jobs, like the junior jobs, and maybe some of the entry level ones as well. And it just makes you think that where's the chance for like recent graduates or people looking to start their career? It feels like the walls are closing in, right? We're like right at the bottom end of the food chain, and the market seems to be designed in such a way where it's very difficult for us to begin our career because those routes are not as available to us as they are to more experienced professionals. Now, the problems that we have discussed up until this point, so like the ghost jobs and the high amount of competition, all of that has been changed forever due to one big culprit: AI. A couple of months ago, I found a graduate scheme. I think it was either through Bright Network or GradCracker. I can't remember which one exactly. But as I was progressing through the application, this page showed up where they asked me if I wanted AI to be part of my application. And I decided to opt out because I know there's major issues with AI, and I personally think that it shouldn't be part of the recruitment process. At least it was nice of the company to do this, right? But here's the thing, not every company who uses AI is gonna do this. Some of them are gonna use it as part of the recruitment process, and you won't even know about it. And this is something I experienced with the graduate schemes that I was applying to when they gave me the assessments to do. And when I realized that this was happening, I thought to myself, how stupid would it be if a robot is responsible for rejecting you, not progressing you to the next stage because you didn't 100% align with the job description, or you never said that one word that they were looking for in the video assessment. But above all of this, what's worse is knowing that AI has been responsible for changing the job market as we know it. One of the things I was kind of shocked about is that AI has been responsible for reducing entry-level positions. This is put us in a very tight spot because now the walls are closing in and we are now having to look for another route in, which now demands a little bit more experience than entry-level roles should be asking for. And do you remember when I mentioned earlier that companies are very particular with who they want to hire? Well, another reason for that is because they're investing a lot of their money into AI, because they're using AI as part of their workflows, as part of the recruitment process, wherever else they're using it. And let's be honest here, AI can do more work than the average person. So they're probably going to hedge their bets and invest in AI to do more work for them than hiring a real human who has a personality, and even though they might have some flaws, but they're willing to show that they're gonna grow in the role. AI has also changed the recruitment process. And as mentioned before, with my graduate scheme examples, I never once got pushed to an in-person interview because I was being sifted out on the earlier stages. It's like they're using AI in the beginning part of the application process. And again, if you don't align 100% with whatever they're looking for, then even if you are a great person who is willing to show that they're capable in the job, they're not gonna progress you. Don't you think that it's much better if a human is responsible for that? Where they take you in, they have a personal conversation with you, they get to know what you are like as a person, and then they decide whether you're good enough to be a part of the team or not. At the very least, you would get some experience in the interview process, right? But they're even reducing that, and it just feels so difficult to get to that stage. And I think, again, the job seekers are the ones who are suffering with this issue with the job market. I know at this point, this is a lot to digest. There's so much going on in the job market right now. They're not treating people out of employment very well. And it kind of feels like, to me and you, a job is quite far away. I mean, when is this issue going to be resolved? I don't have all the answers to give you myself because this is something I'm going through at the moment. I'm with you on this as well. But there's one thing that I want you to know. There's something much more valuable than having a job right now, and something that you need to protect, and that's your mental health. We need to try and not let the job market determine our value, and not base our self-worth on things like our job rejections, or how long we've been unemployed for, or even the amount of money we're making. In the grand scheme of things, yeah, they are important, but nothing is more important than the mental health that you have control over right now.